Hello everyone, and welcome back to the series where I crochet a square out of the Granny Square Stitches card deck every week all year. And we're up to week 18, and I thought we could take a look at the last 17 squares. It's becoming quite the little stack, and it's kind of exciting. I love seeing all these colors come together, and I think once I'm done and I can sew them all together, it's going to be a really fun project. So what are we working on today? For week 18, we are working on this one, which is called Meadow. I thought I would stay true to the colors on the card, and or as true as my color palette goes. So I've got my Anthem colors, and I have got Cactus, Lemon Ice, and Lime. And yeah, let's have some fun with it. Now, stay to the end because I have a very special something to share with you guys using this pattern. Maybe a week or so ago, I started this like, ooh, wouldn't it be fun to talk about what projects you could make with these different patterns? And then I kind of got off track. A lot of them, in my defense, have been like a little bit similar, and so saying over and over again, sure, you can make a blanket with this, sure, you can make a blanket with that, is just repetitive. Any of these that are done in rows would make beautiful blanket projects. Super easy, they'd work up quickly. You could get them to use scraps, all that kind of thing. So yeah, stay tuned, and I have a fun share for you at the end. Okay, I'm going to put these to one side. Let's take a look at our card. So, flipping it over, reading all the words. To work the square shown on the card, make 17 chain and follow chart, working in 1 row stripes of yarns A through C until square. And then we do the single crochet edging as we've been doing all along. To work the stitch pattern any size, starting chain multiple of 5, and then you add 7. So yeah, we are going to start with our yellow, and we're going to do our 17 chains. We're going to double crochet into the 4th chain, right? So we're starting here. This is our chain. We come up the side. These are our skipped chains. We will be working into those skipped chains. And in fact, every single row starts with a chain of 3 and ends with a double crochet into the top of that chain. So like I've done for several weeks now, I will be putting a stitch marker in the top of this 3rd chain so that I know exactly where I need to stitch into at the end of row 2. Okay, so we're gonna double crochet into the 4th chain from the hook. We're gonna chain 1 and skip a chain, and then we're gonna put 4 double crochets into the next 4 chains and repeat that. Chain 1, skip 1, 4 double crochets, chain 1, skip 1, and then we're going to double crochet in each of the last 2 chains, changing color in that last double crochet. Now, because this is a 3 color repeat, and you change color every row, that means that your next color is going to be waiting for you. Like once you establish all 3 colors, you don't have to cut off your yarn with each row. It's always going to be waiting for you when you get there. So that is a nice thing to have happen. Okay, so we're going to start with our yellow. Let's find my yellow tail. And we're going to make 17 chains. So I've got a slip knot on my hook. And that is 17. I'm going to get my stitch markers ready. 2. You know I like to work into my back bumps. So I'm going to turn my chain over. I've got 1, 2, 3. Those are the skipped chains, and then I'm going to double crochet into this 4th one. So we're going to yarn over and insert into that chain, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. So now this V behind my hook is for the double crochet that I just made. So I want to mark the V just below that. That is that third chain that we skipped. And now I'm going to chain one, skip a chain, and then into each of the next 4 chains I am going to place a double crochet. So I'm skipping that one, and into the next one, get a double crochet in there. Sometimes working into the back bumps, you got to kind of pick it up, especially when you're working with something like an acrylic yarn. It can sort of, not felt, that's not the right word, but it can definitely make itself hard to pick up. Okay, so I've got 4 double crochets. I'm going to chain one, skip a chain, and then repeat that. So I need to do 4 double crochets over the next 4 stitches. And this is number 4. I've got 3 chains left, so I'm going to skip that chain, skip the next chain. I've chained one, I'm going to skip the next chain. I'm going to double crochet into this next chain. Oops. And then I need to change color in my last chain, so let's get my lime ready to go. I'm just following the colors in the chart. So I am going to yarn over and insert into that last chain and pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2. And then I'm going to lay my color over my hook and pull it through the loops on my hook. And then I'm going to chain 3. 2 and 3. Now I'm going to mark the top of that third chain. Okay, let's take a look at what the card says we need to do for row 2. So I'm here, I've done these 3 chains. Now I need to double crochet into that first chain 1 space. And then I'm going to chain 3 and double crochet back into that same space. And then I'm going to skip all of these double crochets down here, and I'm going to do that big wide V again. I'm going to double crochet into the chain 1 space, chain 3, and double crochet back into the chain 1 space. Repeat that one more time in the last chain 1 space, and then double crochet into the top of my turning chain. So I'm going to turn my work. This is my first chain 1 space. So I'm going to yarn over, insert into the space. I'm not picking up any stitches, and I'm going to put a double crochet in there. I'm going to chain 3, and then I'm going to double crochet right back into that space. And now I'm not going to chain or anything. I'm just going to come over. I'm going to find this next chain 1 space. Are we in focus? Sorry if we get out of focus. And I'm going to double crochet into that chain 1 space. Chain 3 and double crochet back into that chain 1 space. One more time, no chains or anything. We're just going to skip over these 4 double crochets, and we're going to double crochet into this chain 1 space, chain 3, and then double crochet again back into that same space. Now I'm going to double crochet into my turning chain, and I need to change color. So let's get my cactus ready to go. So I've got my stitch marker where I need to double crochet. So I'm going to just remove the stitch marker, but hold on to that chain so I don't lose where I need to double crochet. I'm going to yarn over and pick up both V's of the chain, if I can. I'm going to yarn over and pull through 2, and then I'm going to get my green on the hook, my cactus, and pull through to finish that double crochet. And I'm going to chain 3 and put my stitch marker back into the top of that chain 3. And that's what we have so far. Let's see what we're supposed to do next. All right, so we're right here and I've already chained 3. Now I need to chain 1 more, and into this chain 3 space between our V, we're going to put 4 double crochets. And I'm going to chain 1 and repeat. And at the end, we're going to end with a chain 1 and a double crochet into our turning chain. And we're going to change color. Our yellow will be waiting for us. So I've already chained 3. I'm going to turn my work, add 1 more chain, and then into this chain 3 space, are we out of focus again? Sorry. I am going to put 4 double crochets. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Chain 1, find our next chain 3 space and repeat 4 double crochets. So this is basically what we did in row 1, only we're working into this space instead of the chains that we worked into in row 1. Chain 1 and 4 double crochets in this last chain 3 space. Chain 1, and we're going to double crochet into this, the top of this turning chain. So that's where my stitch marker was. Took my stitch marker out, kept my fingers on that chain so I could find it again. I'm going to yarn over, pull through 2, and then I can come down and find my yellow, bring it up and pull it through to finish that double crochet. And then I'm going to chain 3 again and replace my stitch marker. That's what we have so far. Let's see what our next row looks like. So very similar to row 2 here. We're going to be making these wide V's, but in the first, so I've done my chain of 3 and I've put my stitch marker in there. I need to do 1 more chain, and then I'm going to double crochet into that chain 1 space. So in essence, this V, we're making like a V because our chain 3 is acting like a double crochet, but this V only has a single chain in the middle. And then we're going to skip over to our next chain 1 space and do our wide V. So that's a double crochet, 3 chains, double crochet. Do that 1 more time in the next chain 1 space. And then at the end, in our last, we're going to put a double crochet into the chain 1 space. We're going to chain 1, and then instead of going back into the space, our double crochet is going to go into the top of the turning chain. And we'll go back to lime. So I've already got 3 chains. I can turn my work. I'm going to do 1 more chain, and then I'm going to put a double crochet into this chain 1 space. And then I'm going to skip all of these double crochets, and I'm going to put my big wide V in this next chain 1 space. So double crochet, chain 3, and double crochet into that chain 1 space. And then do the same thing in the next chain 1 space. And then I'm going to put a double crochet in the last chain 1 space. I'm going to chain 1, and then my last double crochet of the row goes into the top of this turning chain where my stitch marker is. So I'm going to take my stitch marker out, hold on to that chain, yarn over, insert into the chain, pull through a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, and then we can switch colors. Now I'm going to chain 3 and replace my stitch marker, and then we'll take a look at what the next row looks like. So our next row, Where are we? You were here. It got all turned around. So I've already done my chain of 3. I'm going to put a double crochet into that last, the first, or the last chain 1 space of the row below, the first chain 1 space of this row, however you want to think about it. We're going to chain 1, and then we're going to do our 4 double crochets in our big V's. Chain 1, 4 double crochet, chain 1, 1 double crochet in the chain 1 space, and then the last double crochet into the turning chain. And then we'll see if we're square. Probably not, according to the card. We need a couple more rows. This is your repeat though. These 4 rows you're going to repeat. If you're doing a different project, those are the rows that you're going to repeat over and over again to complete your project. So let's work this row. I'm going to turn my work, and then I have a chain 1 space in front of me. I'm going to put a double crochet in there. I'm going to chain 1, find my big V, and put 4 double crochets into that big V. 2, 3, and 4. I'm going to chain 1, come to my next chain 3 space and put 4 double crochets in there. Yeah, come on. Chain 1. I've got a chain 1 space at the end here that gets a double crochet, and then my last double crochet is going to go into this chain, top of the turning chain. And then I can switch back to my cactus. So the hardest part of projects like this, patterns like this that have, that you're working with multiple colors and that you don't cut off your colors, is this. You get all twisted up. So I'm going to take a moment and untwist my yarn from itself. Okay, so now we are starting some of the repeat. So I've just finished row 4, and now I need to come down and start with row 2 again. So I've done my chain, and then I'm going to do my big wide V's in each of the chain 1 spaces and double crochet in the end. So I've got my first chain 3 done, and then I can double crochet, chain 3, double crochet into that first chain 1 space, come all the way over to the next chain 1 space and repeat that, double crochet, and then one more time in my last chain 1 space, we get one of these big wide V's. And then where my turning chain is, where my stitch marker is, I will put my last double crochet. And we're going to switch to yellow. Oopsies. Chain 3, and then let's look at our next row, which is going to be row 3. So now we're here, we're gonna do, I've done my chain of 3. I'm going to do one more chain and then put the 4 double crochets in the middle of each of those big wide V's separated by a chain 1, and double crochet in the last chain. So I'm gonna turn my work, do one more chain, and then we've got 4 double crochets into these big wide V's. Oops, 2, 3, and 4, chain 1, come to the next V stitch and put 4 double crochets in there, chain 1, and then 4 double crochets in the last V. Oops, let's try that again. Chain 1, and we get 1 double crochet into our turning chain. And I'm going to switch to my lime. I'm just going to chain 1 for now, because according to the pattern, if we look at what's on the front of the card, we should be ready to do our border. Now they've done their border in the dark. Let's first check that we're square. So I'm going to take my bottom right corner, fold it up to the top. Yep, I'm square. So I can start my border. Now I could do it in the dark, or I could continue in the lime. Either will look good, and it's your square, so you do whatever you want. I'm lazy. I don't really want to cut this off, weave this in, attach new yarn. So I'm going to continue with my lime. Before I do that though, we can cut off the yellow, and we can cut off our cactus. And I'm going to take a moment to weave these ends in, and then we'll come back and do the border together. Okay, ends are all woven in. Let's talk stitches for this border. Now we've had a few squares where we've had to kind of fudge the numbers a little bit. So let's see, we started with 17 chains. We worked into the 4th chain from the hook. So we should have like 14 stitches approximately. So up here, let's see, we got 1. Let's just count our double crochets for starters, and then we'll leave the spaces for now. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. That kind of works. So we're just going to skip our chain spaces, and we are, we're just going to double crochet in every double crochet, skipping the chain spaces. That should make it work out. And I can't remember what I just said. Did I say single crochets or double crochets? But we are going to be single crocheting in every double crochet. I'm going to put my stitch marker back into this first stitch so that I can find it when we're coming around. It's 5, 6, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, and then 1 where my stitch marker is makes 14. And a reminder, the border instructions are in your booklet. So this is the booklet that comes in the box. And on page 22 and 23 is the border instructions. So I'm at a corner. I have single crocheted in the last stitch. I have chained 1. I'm going to turn my work, come around and single crochet right back into that same stitch. Now let's look at how many stitches we need down the side. So essentially these are all double crochets. So if we go by the rule that you put two single crochets per double crochet down the side of projects, that would be 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14. Kind of works. So I've got 1. We're going to come through the chain for number 2. Anytime I've got these floats, I'm going to go over them, capture them in my single crochets, and that helps hide them. Oops. some of these have become a little bit distorted just for the way the stitches are and the way, you know, sometimes it pulls as you're pulling up your yarn or making your next stitch. So just keep that in mind and try and be conscious of where you are in the pattern, like which row you're on, which color you're looking at, and make sure you get 2 single crochets per row. Okay, so now I need to come down to the bottom of this single crochet, or this chain here, actually. That's, yeah. For my final single crochet, I'm going to chain 1, and then along the bottom, see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So this one we need to work into, see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Well, that's awkward. We're going to skip this middle one and just do single crochets in every chain and double crochet except that middle one. That way we have a consistent stitch count. I hope what I'm doing makes sense to you guys. If you're not planning to border your squares together like I am, then having a consistent stitch count on these really doesn't matter. So you can kind of put your stitches wherever you want and have as many stitches around the sides as you want, keeping in mind that especially down the sides, if you have too few stitches, your sides are going to pull in, and if you have too many, they're going to curve out. So if you want your square to look square, you need to have sort of the same number down the sides as you do across the top and the bottom. Really hoping all that makes sense to you guys. Okay, that's my final stitch. So now I can chain 1 and repeat the process up this side that I did down below. So 2 single crochets per row. We're going to join with a slip stitch at the top. So you're going to single crochet in this same stitch, chain 1, and then join with a slip stitch, chain 1, and then just single crochet all the way around in your corners. Do a single crochet, chain 1, single crochet, and then you can fasten off. So once I have finished that, I will come back and show you what it looks like. And there we go. We are all finished. So that is square number 18, Meadow. And I promised you something special. So before I do that, let's take a look at what we're going to be doing next week. It's this one. It's called Pip Stitch. And it looks like we're getting into some spiked V stitches. So that's going to be a new thing for us. So that'll be exciting. I promised you something special, and I have a confession to make. This is not the first time I have made this pattern. I was looking for a way to use and promote our chenille love. So this is by Rico Designs. It is a bulky weight chenille yarn. Now the label calls for like a 4 or 5 millimeter hook, which would kind of put it in that worsted weight category. But because of the sort of plushness of the chenille, it is in the bulky weight category. And I thought, I wonder if I could make a blanket with it. So I did, with this pattern. Here it is. What do we think? So the chenille love comes in a variety of colors, like solid colors, but some of them have, pardon me, some of them have sparkle in it. So this blanket has two solid colors. So this sort of baby yellow is called Vanilla, and the green is called Ivy, and then the pink is Sparkle, and it is the Dusty Rose Sparkle. And it is gorgeous and plush, like so soft and squishy. I used a 5.5 millimeter hook to make the stitches. I didn't want the blanket. I knew the stitch pattern was fairly open, but I didn't want the blanket to be too open. And yeah, so it is currently in sort of a testing phase, and then the pattern will go live on my website. So I am really excited for you guys to get access to that and make it yourself. If you're interested, these are just some of the colors that I have, and there are a lot more available to order, like that I can order. I have, gosh, maybe 15 or so colors on my website. Everything from the soft sort of pastel-y, like babyish colors, all the way up to some nice bright, there's a coral, and it's called lavender, but it's more like a periwinkle blue, very pretty, and then some deep greens, a red, yeah, lots of fun colors. So I invite you to check out the Chenille Love collection on my website and look for this blanket pattern to be posted really soon. Thanks so much for joining me, and I will see you again next week for this square. Bye!